The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Nick Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN. Get a $1,000 bonus credit. And welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Monday, April 14th. I can say something that I normally don't say when starting the podcast. Good morning. It is roughly 1 a.m. Eastern. I know it's going to be a very late episode compared to usual time. Unfortunately, though, I did end up posting something on Twitter about it. None of our hosts were available at 5 p.m., so we had to move it to later on tonight. Thought about maybe skipping the day, but decided to once again record it because I'm always awake, so I figured why not. So we're going to get into all 10 games on the Monday card. Once again, apologies that the normal schedule had to take a brief hiatus, but we're back, and we will be back at normal time tomorrow. So if you want the actual preview for the Tuesday games, check out the podcast once again at 5 p.m. Eastern. This time is just a one-off. Anyway, before we get into any of the actual breakdown of the 10 games for the Monday card, quick recap of what happened in the Sunday card. So for starters, the Giants ended up winning against the Yankees. Lee's been fantastic. With the Giants, he had 2 home runs. Rodon has really not been great once again this season. And as a Yankees fan, I feel like I'd say disappointment in him has been, I'd say, once again, proven time and time again by him because he's just not very good. But the Giants were able to get to him a couple times, mostly Lee, as they won the game 5-4. The Orioles bullpen fell apart, and Toronto came from behind as the Orioles eventually did lose at home. Toronto, though, 9-7. Orioles are 6-9. Team can't pitch, and the bullpen blew the game on Sunday. Moving on, you have Chris Sale, who was once again really bad against Tampa. He's now 0-2 with a 6.63 ERA. Since the Cy Young Award-winning season, he has been a mess, and we'll see what happens moving forward. But the Braves right now are 4-11, and they are 1-9 on the road. Moving on, the Royals won a game as they were able to win 4-2. Reagan's was fantastic. String out a bunch of guys, and you saw the Royals do enough offensively to win the game 4-2. The Reds completed the sweep as Hunter Green continues to absolutely shove. Now he has an ERA of .98. He was great. The Pirates never stood a chance, and you saw the Reds win the game 4-0. You saw the Marlins beat the Nationals 11-4. You ended up seeing Gore struggle a bit, and the Marlins jumped them as they ended up winning the game once again handily. You saw the Astros beat the Angels. Hendricks got shelled. You could argue it was overdue because we don't think Hendricks is that good on the show, and he was pretty good for the first couple outings, but the Angels ended up struggling with the pitching in this game, and the Astros ended up winning the game 7-3. Saw Boston win the game against with the White Sox 3-1. Crochet was dealing, had a no-hitter through 6. I think he struck out 11 in about 7 1/3. So nice performance by him. The Twins avoided the sweep as they were able to beat the Tigers 5-1. I know Buxton homered in the first inning, and you ended up seeing the Tigers really do nothing offensively for the entire game, with the exception of a torque home run. Cardinals shut out the Phillies. Nice performance by Liberator as he ended up looking good, and Wheeler struggled. Mets beat the A's 8-0. The A's are really not very good, and the Mets were able to get a great performance from Senga, but Severino was not good in his revenge start against the Mets as they jumped him, and they won 8-0. Colorado's still terrible, 3-12 now, 1-8 on the road. The Padres, 13-3. Underrated fact, 10-0 at home. Undefeated at home so far this season in Petco, and they were able to win comfortably again on Sunday. Brewers ended up losing to the Diamondbacks after the choke job on Saturday. They did not bounce back as Arizona got a good performance from Gowan, and they were able to win that game 5-2. Saw the Mariners win another low-scoring game, 3-1. What else is new? As Gilbert was slightly better than Uvalde. And then you saw the Cubs win the series against the Dodgers, winning 2 out of 3. After winning the game on Saturday by double-digit runs, won the game 4-2. You saw Carl Armstrong go for 2 home runs, and you ended up seeing the Dodgers bullpen kind of fall apart down the stretch. So overall, not too much drama, couple of fun games, couple of, I'd say, straightforward games. To be honest, I think most people were focused so much on the Masters that I'm sure most people didn't actually watch baseball over the course of the day because Rory, of course, eventually did find a way to win his first ever green jacket. Tried to choke 3 times, but he was able to hold on and win the playoff, but nice job by him. And I feel like a lot of baseball fans took a brief afternoon off, focusing on either the NBA regular season finale, mostly the Clippers and Warriors game, and the Masters happening at the same time. But if you ended up watching some baseball, you ended up getting some decent action. Hopefully you made some money on your bets. And before we get into any of the games for the Monday card, quick reminder that if you want to find all of our podcasts in one easy and, once again, convenient location, you can also find the picks and podcasts from the network on the SGPN app. It's completely free, so if you do want to download the app, don't forget to check out any, once again, app location. basically on the App Store. And you can definitely find the SGPN app for all of the picks and podcasts absolutely free in one easy location. Anyway, time to move on into the actual breakdown of the games on Monday. 10 games to talk about, so we're going to get into each of them. Then we'll do the lock and dog picks at the end of the show. Starting off with the actual first matchup, you have the Nationals against the Pirates. Now, for this game, you have Lord against Skeens. Now, the Pirates are obviously massive favorites with Skeens on the mound, as they're minus 215. Nationals, though, are plus 180. Lord, though, has been fine this season, 1.80 ERA. Skeens has been fine. Was not very good in his last outing, but we know that Skeens is one of the best pitchers in baseball in terms of talent, so we'll see how the Pirates fare in his start. Now, Pittsburgh, I said before, is about minus 220 on the money line. For the run line, you can find the minus 1.5 at around plus 110. You can find it at plus 118, though, or minus 118 the other way if you want the plus 1.5 runs. And for the over-under in this game, the line is being set at 7. Now, the Nationals were not very good pitching-wise against the Marlins over the weekend. Lord has made really not many appearances, as he's only gone 5 innings this season. He has a 1.8 whip, so he does allow a lot of base runners, give up 5 hits and 4 walks in the season so far. Skeens, though, had 1 bad outing, but besides that, he's been pretty good, and we know that he should look sharp in pretty much every start that you expect to see him, because we know he's very good. Pittsburgh, though, is awful. They are 5-11, have lost 3 straight, did lose to the Reds in all 3 games, scored 5 runs in all 3 games combined. As for Washington, they were not pitching well, gave up 7+ runs in each of the last 2 games in the series. So the question is, do I think the Nationals will get a decent enough performance from Lord to hang in there against an offense that can't hit? No, I don't think so. I think Pittsburgh should be favored in this game by a decent margin. I do think that Lord will be okay. Pittsburgh can't hit, but you can't really just consistently get by leaving guys on base, and Lord left a lot of guys on base in the season so far. I think Skeens will bounce back. I think the Nationals offense is fine. Of course, Abrams now is on the IL. That's going to be a big loss to the top of the order. Wood's been great, though. We'll see if he does anything, but it feels like the Nationals bullpen is going to be a problem over the course of the season, and we saw that unfold in the Marlins series. So I'll go with the Pirates. I think I'll go with the minus 1.5, maybe a team total for the first 5 on the Nationals under. I think Skeens pitches well. I think he'll look sharp, but without Abrams and with this pitching staff, I think the Nationals are going to be in trouble here. Yes, Pittsburgh's not a good team. I'm aware of it, but I do think Skeens should be this big of a favorite, and Lord really has been unproven at this point. So I'll go with the Pirates to do enough to get by. Give me Pittsburgh to win this game like 4-2, I guess, but I'll go with the Nationals first 5, a team total under, maybe Pittsburgh. I want to make a case of the first 5 run line for Pittsburgh, but that line's going to be horrible because it's minus 220 for the money line. So it's tough to find full value. Maybe Skeens win, but Pittsburgh's bullpen could blow it for him too. Not the game I'm the most interested in, to be honest, but I do think Pittsburgh should look sharp with Skeens pitching, at least compared to the normal selves. So give me Pittsburgh in this one to start off the slate. Moving on to the next game, you have the Giants taking on the Phillies. Now, for this one, Giants are off a good series against the Yankees, where Lee took over the game on Sunday. Phillies have been fine so far this season. They did lose 2 out of 3 to the Cardinals. In fact, they scored 4 runs in the entire series. So offensively, they've been a mess. They've scored less than they've scored less than 3 runs in 3 of their last 4. So the offense has not really been clicking right now, and you are looking at the Giants, who have been in great form at 11-4 right now. Now you have Rupp pitching against Walker. Walker quietly has not allowed a single run all season, so good for Taiwan, who's actually pitching well for once. For the money line, though, Philly is minus 120. You have the Giants at around plus 100. For the over-under, I see the line being set at 8.5. Now, for the actual matchup itself, Philly really can't hit right now, and Walker, I know, has been pitching well. I feel like a lot of us are waiting for the clock to strike midnight on the Cinderella start to his season. Maybe the Phillies coaching staff figured something out with him, and now he's back to being pretty decent. But I'll believe it when I see a bigger sample size. I think Rupp was fine in his first outing, but it's mostly based on how Phillies hitting right now. They've been brutal offensively, and I do think that the Giants' offense has been good enough to get by with a pretty good start here from Rupp. I think the Phillies should be favored, at least I get it, but I think 120, though, is just not that appealing for a team that, once again, has scored less than 3 runs in 3 of their last 4. I'll go with the Giants in this one. They're playing good baseball, won at the Yankee Stadium, and won a series, and I do think that this team should be given a bit more respect in the betting markets. Give me the Giants on the money line here at around plus 100. Don't mind the under, but I feel better about the side on that one. Speaking of the Yankees, though, looking forward to the next series, you have the Royals taking on the Yankees. Now, for this one, you have a matchup between Lugo and Carrasco, and for this one, the Yankees are minus 145, the Royals are plus 120. For the over-under in this game, I see the line being set at around 8.5. Now, Carrasco is as bad as we thought he was going to be, because he's been awful all season long. A 7.71 ERA. You're looking at Lugo, who's been fine really since joining the Royals. Been a pretty good signing for them. Kansas City was not good over the weekend, but they were able to win the final game because Reagans was shoving. The question is, does a bad offense beat up on a bad pitcher? Because Carrasco, I really can't trust as a favorite, and the Royals' offense has been underwhelming to say the least. I'm being generous saying that they've been really bad. So the question is, will the Yankees get enough run support to bail out Carrasco? I don't really know, because the Yankees have not been hitting the ball that well lately. They were okay yesterday and the day before. They have scored 4+ runs in 3 of their last 4 games, but they have not played well. Ended up losing 5 of their last 7. Not really in good form. It's most of the price for me. I don't mind Lugo. I think Lugo's fine. The Yankees' bullpen's also not been that great because Devin Williams just forgot how to pitch. So the Yankees have a lot of question marks right now in the pitching staff, and I do think that the Royals can do enough to get by. I think Lugo can pitch decently enough to once again get his team in a good position to get the lead, and I do think the Yankees' bullpen might be a bit overvalued. I love Weaver. I think Weaver's been great this season, but besides that, Williams can't close, and that's a serious problem. So give me the Royals at plus money, fading Carrasco in this spot. Moving on to an AL East battle between the Red Sox and the Rays. 2 teams have not really looked that great so far this season. Red Sox are 8-9, and the Rays are 7-8. For the actual pricing here, you have the Rays at minus 120, the Red Sox at even money. You have Houck pitching against Baz. For the over-under, I see the line being set at 8.5. You can find the 8.5, though, for the under at around plus 100. So for this matchup, Houck has had a pretty interesting start to the season because he was really bad early, and then he was great last start. Ended up going 6 2/3, give up 1 run against Toronto, but he has been bad in his 2 road starts this season, and this is a road start, of course, so we'll see if he can piece together on the road here in George Steinbrenner Field. For Baz, he's been great so far this season, 1-0, 1.38 ERA, faced off against Pittsburgh at home, 6 innings and no runs, faced off against the Angels, ended up going 7 innings, 2 runs. So he's been great, really no way around it. I don't mind Baz strikeouts in this game. Red Sox have been striking out a decent amount, and I do think that Baz has pretty underrated stuff for a young pitcher who we know Tampa has the ability to really find a lot of gems either in the draft or even just in the player development system. And Baz does feel like one of those guys. I think he's good. And I do think that the Red Sox, based on current form, are... I put it this way. I understand why Tampa's favored in this game. Do I want to lay it with Tampa, who can't really hit? No. I mean, they were good against Sale yesterday, so maybe that'll carry over into this game. I think I like the under in this one, though, at 8.5. Boston offensively was awful against the White Sox over the weekend. They scored a grand total of 6 runs against the White Sox in 3 games. They have scored less than 4 runs in 3 straight and 6 of their last 7. So if you're scoring less than 3 on a regular basis here, I can't go with the over at 8.5. I think that both pitchers are fine. I like Houck. I think that he's definitely better than his number suggests so far, and Baz has been very good. But I do think the total feels a bit high. I'll go with the under 8.5 for this game. Checking the comments section. I see Delano stopping by. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, definitely up late for, I guess, good reason, going through all the baseball games here on the Monday card. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you do enjoy the show. Right now, you're the only person in the comment section, so enjoy it. Anyway, moving on to the next game. You have the Braves taking on the Blue Jays. For this matchup, you have a matchup between Holmes and Lucas. Lucas came out of nowhere. He's been really good. He's had 2 starts, 2 wins, and no runs allowed. Holmes has been fine, 0-1-4 ERA. But we'll see what happens. Now, for the actual pricing, both teams are minus 110 on the money line. For the actual total here, I see the over-under being set at 8.5 or 9. Holmes, I said before, has been fine. He had 1 pretty bad start, and besides that, he's been okay. Not really going much length, though. He has topped out at 4 innings in 2 starts of the season. Has not gone more than that, and the Braves are 0-3 in his outings. Main issue has been walks. He's walked 4 guys in 2 straight starts, and Toronto is off of a nice extra innings comeback win against the Orioles. We'll see if that carries over into this game. But the Braves, as I said before, are 1-9 on the road. They've been awful so far this season, and I do think Lucas might be underrated. The guy's good. I mean, he's a 28-year-old, kind of came out of nowhere. But so far this season, 10 1/3 innings pitched and no runs allowed. It's not even fluky. He's just been great. So I'll go with Lucas in the first 5 in this one. I think Holmes might get into some trouble here. I know the Braves' offense on paper should be really good. Besides the Ozuna walk-off home run a couple days ago, they haven't really done anything. So I do think the Braves are, I'll put it this way, right now overvalued in the markets because they are just not playing good baseball. And I do think that looking at the pitching matchup here, I think that Lucas is the better option at this point in time. So give me Toronto first 5 money line in this one. I think Lucas can do well enough in the first 5 to put the Blue Jays in a position to grab a lead at home. So give me the Blue Jays first 5 in that one. And before we get into any of the other games on the actual card for Monday, quick reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, EdgeBoost. Because if you've ever had a deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet, if you ever need to cash at 2 a.m., for another shot at the tables, but hit your ATM limit, don't worry about it because EdgeBoost has your back. First ever bank account built for bettors. You can also use them because they are fast and reliable. They give you access to your funds easily, which makes it easier to move money where and when you want it. And also, you can do it without delays that come with traditional banks. You can also get cash rewards every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account. Get 0.5% every time you do that. All this for no usage fees and no minimum balance. You'd also use the responsible gambling tools to help make informed decisions and help manage your bankroll. What are you waiting for, though? Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Sign up for the EdgeBoost card today. We're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag because MyBookie is the place in every sport. They have everything for you if you want to bet on, for example, tennis, if you want to bet on baseball, if you want to bet on the NBA playoffs coming up, you can definitely use MyBookie for all of those sports and events. Plus, they have props in every game. They also accept customers from a ton of locations. You can also use crypto for Lightning Fast payouts and for easy deposits. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Went through the first couple games on the Monday card. Time to keep it rolling with the next game on the slate. Just talked about the Braves and Blue Jays. Time to move on to the Tigers and the Brewers. Now, for this one, you have Skubal pitching against Alexander. Skubal's been a bit underwhelming lately, 1-2. He was great against the Yankees, though, in his last outing, so it seems like he found his groove again. We'll see how he does in this one. But in his only home start this season against the Yankees, 6 innings, no runs. So he has been pretty bad on the road. On the road this season, 10 2/3, 7 earned runs. So we'll see which Skubal shows up for this one. For Milwaukee, though, Alexander has been fine so far this season, 1-0, 2.84 ERA. For the over-under, I see 7 or 7.5. Now, Milwaukee had a pretty underwhelming series against the Diamondbacks. They were off to a pretty good start as they won the first game in the series 7-0, then led by a ton of runs in the 9th inning on Saturday, completely blew the entire game, and then ended up losing against Gallen on Sunday. So they lost the series they probably should have won. We'll see how they bounce back with a trip home for the next few days. Milwaukee has been fine, especially offensively on the road. They're at home. We'll see how they do in this one. But Milwaukee, we know, does have a pretty, I'd say, underrated lineup, at least at this point in time. And Detroit's offense can be a question mark, but Skubal is very, very good. I'll go with the under in this one. I think you'll see a low-scoring game. Milwaukee's bullpen could be a problem because it has been a problem all season, but I think Skubal will pitch well. I think we know how good he is. He won the Cy Young last year, and he looked great against the Yankees. I do think he'll be able to shut down this Brewers lineup, at least to some degree, and I do think the Tigers' offense has not been that great. A couple of guys have been fine. I mean, Torque's been great. I think that Malloy's actually been okay. And you've seen Dingler play a little bit. He's been good too. But I don't think the offense is that great, and I feel like right now the whole's better than the actual individual parts. So I do think that the Tigers' offense will end up regressing. We saw that on Sunday. They did nothing against Woods Richardson, and he's really not been good this season. So give me a low-scoring game here. I'll go with the under 7.5. Bit juice, though, at around minus 124 on FanDuel, but I'll take it now before the line moves. Check in the comment section, by the way. I see Trevor, who also doesn't sleep. Welcome. Hopefully you enjoy the solo podcast today. I know you're also a Brewers fan, so not surprised you are fading the Brewers because they can't hit lefties. Skubal, you like in the first 5, minus 105. I don't mind that for the first 5 run line. Anyway, though, moving on to the next game, you have the Mets taking on the Twins. For this one, you have Clay Holmes taking on Joe Ryan. The Twins are minus 115. Mets are minus 105, and the over-under in this game is set at 8. Or 8.5. I see an 8.5 on DraftKings. Slight juice, though, to the under. Now, Holmes this season's been fine. 1-1, 4.3 ERA. He was not good last outing, though. Was awful against the Marlins. He went a 5 1/3, gave up 4 earned runs. Struck out 10 guys, though, So there's that as a silver lining. For Joe Ryan, though, he's been fine. A 1-1, 2.65 ERA. Was great last outing against the Royals. 7 innings, 2 hits, no runs. But historically speaking, he's owned Kansas City. So that is kind of an actual, I'd say, perfect matchup for him. For whatever reason, some pitchers match up very well against opposing teams, and Ryan has owned the Royals for a long time. So not exactly a shock there. He ended up shoving in his last start. Now, the Twins are not good at baseball. They're 5-11. Did win the last game, though, 5-1, which happened yesterday. Before that, though, they'd lost 3 straight. They still have lost 6 of their last 8. Not good. And the Mets were fine against the A's over the weekend. They ended up winning 2 out of 3, I believe. I think the Mets are the better team here. I understand that Ryan's the better pitcher, but I think Holmes can do well enough against a pretty bad offense. Buxton went yard in the first inning yesterday. Hasn't really done much besides that. Correa moves in slow motion. He doesn't actually run the bases anymore. So you're looking at the Twins and a lot of guys that were expected to do a lot for this team really not look the part at this point, which might be why the offense has been a bit sluggish to start the season. I know that Miranda, who was good last year or a couple years ago, ended up getting demoted. That's one less guy to have there, too. Give me the Mets at around -105. I'll take the better team. I understand the argument is Ryan might be better. If you want to go for that angle, go for the first 5. But I do think the Mets are, objectively speaking, the much more talented roster. And I do think -105 is a good price. I'll fade Minnesota gladly. Getting around even money, it's -102 in a spot or two. But the Twins are 5-11. They should not be laying 115. I feel like that's just a bad price, and I'm going to take the Mets because of it. I think that you're looking at a good spot for the Mets to potentially get the job done here. Moving on to the next game. You have the Astros taking on the Cardinals. Now, for this game, you have Valdez pitching against, I see Gray listed. Astros are -120. The Cardinals are even money. For the over-under in this game, I see the line being set at around 7.5. Juice to the under, though, at around -122. Now, Valdez this season has been fine for the most part, had one bad outing, but he had 2 very good outings. As he won 7 innings, no runs against the Mets, 5 innings, 5 runs against the Giants, and 6 innings, no runs against the Mariners. Mariners, though, can't hit, so you'd argue, once again, that isn't as impressive as it seems, but he's had 2 scoreless outings out of 3, which is a good sign. For Sonny Gray, though, he has been fine, battled illness to start the season, and he's been okay ever since, has given up less than 3 runs in 2 of his 3 outings, but did struggle against the Angels in the middle, giving up 5 runs in 6 innings, but the Cardinals have been good in the starts as they are currently 3-0, and they've won all 3 games on the run line. So the question is, do I think the Astros should be favored in this game? I do. I think that Valdez is pitching very well, and I do think that Gray, despite having the run support so far to start the season, I do think he's been fine. I mean, a 4.5 ERA kind of tells you what I'm saying, is that I think he's been okay so far, but I think Valdez is better. Both teams have been so far average to start the season. Now, the Cardinals are 6-3 at home, where the Astros are 3-3 on the road. But I think Valdez is better than Gray, in my opinion. You could argue maybe the Astros offense goes quiet again. Wouldn't shock me. But I think for the sake of the matchup here, I'll go with Valdez to get the job done at -120. Moving on to the next game, you have 2 teams in very good form. You have the Padres against the Cubs. For this matchup, you have a pretty interesting pitching matchup because you have Taillon against Cease. 2 guys who have been awful so far this season. 6.06 ERA for Taillon, 7.98 ERA for Cease. Cease got shelled by the A's last time out. The over-under in this game is set at 7.5. Now, the Cubs offensively have been very good so far this season. Tucker's been amazing for this team since he ended up going there. As for the Padres, they've been good also, whether Tatis is injured or not. They've been rolling. They're 10-0 at home. We'll see how this game once again, works itself out, but the Padres are -165. Cubs are +140. I really don't want to lay -165 with Cease. I know that Taillon might not be that great either. I'll go with the over. I think 7.5 at around even money is a good deal. I think that both pitchers have their own problems. Cease has really been underwhelming. I've called him overrated for years on the pod. He had a great, I'd say, stretch last year where he had the no-hitter, and then he ended up having a pretty great month, and then he regressed back to being his old self again. I think Cease is just hyped up based on his stuff and his upside, but he really doesn't tap into the upside enough for me to actually want to back him on a regular basis. Taillon, I just think, is not very good. So based on that, I'll go with the over instead. Really don't want to take the Padres at 165 here against the Cubs, who just won a series against the Dodgers on the road. Give me the over in this game. I think 7.5 does feel pretty low with this actual matchup, so I'll go with that as my favorite play for this one. Moving on to the final game. of the actual slate, you have the Rockies taking on the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers have not been playing great lately, as they did lose a series to the Nationals, and they lost a series at home to the Cubs, but they are still 11-6, and they are 7-2 at home. For the Rockies, this team we know is awful. 3-12, they are 1-8 on the road. They might be the worst team in the league. Them and the White Sox are neck and neck. For the Dodgers, though, minus 360 on the money line. The Rockies are plus 285. You have Sanzatella taking on May. And for the actual run line here, because you're not going to take minus 360, Dodgers minus 1.5 is around minus 160. So there you go. You save about $1 taking the Dodgers, but it's still minus 160 for the run line. Now, Sanzatella had a very weird start to the season because he was not giving up runs to start the year. However, he's had a bunch of guys on base in every outing. He's given up at least 8 hits in every start this season. It's pretty nuts, actually. 14 innings pitched, 27 hits allowed, gives up roughly 2 hits per inning, and somehow gave up 19 hits in the first 2 starts and gave up 1 run, 0 earned runs. Makes no sense. And then he went back to Coors, gave up 8 earned runs and 9 runs against the Brewers. So massive regression was overdue, and you saw the Brewers destroy him as they scored 17 runs in that game. Now, May's been fine. He was fine against Washington. He was great in his first outing. Of course, he is off Tommy John, so you have to wonder about the actual length he's going to go in his outings. Went 6 innings, gave up 1 earned against the Nationals, 3 runs in total, but he only struck out 1 guy. He was fine, though. Defense kind of let him down. And then in the first start, he gave up 1 hit and no runs against the Braves. So the point is, May's been fine. I got to fade Colorado. I just have to. I understand the Dodgers have not been playing great baseball. But once again, Sanzatella has given up 27 hits in 14 innings. Like, that's insane. I have to fade him. I just have to. He gives up too much contact, doesn't strike out anybody, and I do think the Dodgers will look sharp in terms of making contact in this one. Then again, the Dodgers were not good against Ben Brown, so that is definitely a red flag for me. But I do think that you're looking at a spot where I have to fade Sanzatella. Too many hits, too much contact, and the Dodgers offense I just think is too good to deal with. Or I should say too good for Sanzatella to deal with. I see a really ugly outing for Sanzatella. Give me May to pitch well. The Rockies, though, are awful in every capacity. And they also traded away Nolan Jones, who was one of their best players, for Freeman, who's much worse, in my opinion. So for this game, give me the Dodgers minus 2.5, actually, at around plus 110. I think they beat the crap out of this team, to be honest. And I think it's going to be a very ugly series for Colorado. It's a very, I'd say, underratedly big series for the Dodgers. I know that's early in the season, still in April, but he lost a series to Washington, and he lost a series to the Cubs at home. The division's pretty tough, though. Arizona's been pretty good. San Diego, I said before, is undefeated at home. The Giants have been really good. Dodgers, I'm not saying that they're in danger of losing this division, but I do think that you're looking at a team that should be pretty amped to beat up on one of the worst teams in the league at home. The Rockies, I said before, are useless on the road. They are currently 1-8 on the road, and the Dodgers are still 7-2 at home despite losing those 2 games to Chicago. I'll go with the Dodgers minus 2.5 here. I just think this team's horrible. I've guys with inside information, though. I see Adrian saying that he was actually at the game because he's a Padres fan, and the Rockies did look really bad. I mean, King's a good pitcher, too, which doesn't help. But you're looking at the Rockies, who can't hit, especially away from home. They can't pitch. Their bullpen sucks. And the Dodgers should be motivated to get back on track here. Give me the Dodgers minus 2.5 at plus 110 as my dog. I see that Trevor's mentioning the Rockies' first 5 on the money line at plus 245. I'm not going to roast you for taking a flyer on a 245 play. I just think Sanzatella gives up at least 3 runs. I just feel like when you're looking at letting that many guys on base, even of that much contact to average offenses, and now you're against Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, just so many guys can torch you in that lineup. You are right that the Dodgers have not been hitting well lately, but I got to fade Sanzatella here, in my opinion. I just don't trust them. If you want to go for Colorado, maybe you want to make an argument for the team total, and you could fade May. But I really want nothing to do with Sanzatella in this matchup. I just see it being a bad matchup, and I think that the Dodgers should jump him early. But if the Dodgers won this game, for example, like 8-3, something like that, 8-4, that's fine if you got Rockies team total over, but I think that the Dodgers might tee off against them in this game, but I'm rooting for you. Anyway, let's go wrap it up for all 10 games on the solo episode for the Monday card. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. Before we get into, though, any of those plays, quick reminder, they're brought to you by fans because you can play their own to pick them. For a chance to win your times your money, you could play a bunch of different sports as well. MLB, NBA, if you want to do the playoffs, you could also do hockey A lot of different sports can mix and match, and once again, you can do it to win up to 100 times your money. Sign up, though, with the promo code MLB SGPN to go on special first time as an offer up to 1K bonus cash and fantasy promo code MLB SGPN when you sign up for your new account. We're also brought to you by Rhythm because they are the home of MLB Picks and Props. They're also live for Major League Baseball. They have models on NBA and golf as well. You can also build your own model, which is simple and easy to do. They have 2 promo codes, though, one for a monthly discount and one for an annual discount. So if you do want to get the monthly discount, use the promo code SGPN25. If you want to get the 25% off, by the way, for the monthly deal. And if you want to get 50% off your annual deal, don't forget to use the promo code SGPN50 for 50% off your annual subscription. So reminder, that's Rhythm, RATHMM, with the promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finished going through every game on the Monday card. Now it's time for the lock and dog picks once I actually pull up the banner. Now, for the lock on the show, I actually like the decent amount on the card. I just got to pick something that I actually want to go with. Thought about the under, actually, in the Brewers game. I think that Scooball is going to shove, personally. Maybe thought about going with the under in that Red Sox game, too. All right, you know what? I think I actually am going to go with my instincts here. It's also kind of a rogue line because most books have 7, but I do see a 7.5. I am going to go with the under in that Brewers and Tigers game at 7.5 as my lock at -124. I think it's a good spot for Scooball. I know that Trevor is the chat Dodgers fan, mentioned before how this team is awful against lefties, and I do think that Scooball, who is probably the best lefty in the league at this point, is a bad matchup for Milwaukee. Did not really do much offensively in the final couple games against the Diamondbacks. You saw them score 2 runs early against Gallen, did nothing for the final 8 innings. I see a pretty underwhelming offense based on form against a very good pitcher, and the Tigers' offense ended up winning in the series against Minnesota. They weren't very good in the series, just Minnesota couldn't do anything. But the Tigers in that series scored 7 runs in the first game, but scored 5 runs in the last 2 games combined. I think this game will be a bit ugly. I think Alexander's been fine so far this season, and I think that with his overall, once again, I think his stuff's pretty underrated, though. Doesn't go much distance, though, so you might see a bit more bullpen in this game. But I think the Tigers' offense is not very good, and I do think that the Brewers' offense has been underwhelming, especially against lefties. So give me Scooball in this one pitching well. Give me the under 7.5 as my lock for the show. For the dog will be a short money line price, but I am going to take it anyway. I am going to go with, do I want to go with the Giants, actually? Thought about it. I could go Dodgers -2.5, but that's a bit much for the home team. You know what? I think I'll actually go for it. Give me the Giants on the money line here at even money. I think the Phillies are overvalued. I just think the Phillies have not been playing well. We saw them lose in that series to the Cardinals. Really didn't do anything in the series the entire time offensively. And the Giants have been good. Went to the Yankee Stadium, won 2 out of 3. Lee's been great. And you're looking at the Phillies losing 3 of their last 4. They scored less than 3 runs in 3 of their last 4. Just not hitting well lately. And so far this season, I know that Walker's been fine. I still, once again, am skeptical of how much longer he can keep this going or if he's going to regress. But I think Ralph's fine so far this season. And I think that the Phillies are, I'll put it this way, I understand why they're favored, but I still think the Giants are undervalued. I like this team. And this team's actually playing well. And I do think that they might have something brewing, maybe for a playoff run. So we'll see what happens. But give me the Giants on the money line at even money as my dog. That's going to wrap it up, though, for the episode. Back once again with the normal time for the Tuesday games at 5 p.m. A reminder, we also have a prop show on Monday morning with Adam and I, taking place at around 10 a.m. Eastern. So find us on both shows tomorrow. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.